the Bulldozer Matt Tremont, the 8-time Deathmatch Tournament winner, the former 2-time world champion, the owner of H2O Wrestling. And if there is one podcast to listen to, that is the Deathmatch Russell Podcast. Let's get ultraviolet, motherfuckers.
And good evening once again, fans. You're listening to the Deathmatch Russell Podcast. They're more than welcome to come on, too, anytime they want to come on.
Oh, man, the girls pop good like this.
All right. It's a budget thing. Let's see what he's up to.
Thank you, man, and thank you for giving me the time.
Tune in right now. Yeah, good evening, everyone. You're listening to another episode of the Deathmatch Russell Podcast. My guest at this time, the freak himself, Draven Lee. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. A little cold, but I'll be all right.
Right. Yeah, weather's changing, man. It's getting a little bit that crisp air out there, you know. Felt it today.
Oh, yeah.
You know, fucking leaves are still falling. We're still cleaning them up in our yard.
We don't do fall anymore. We just do summer and winter at this point.
Right. Do you have how was your workout? Pretty good?
It was good. I got in there late, but at least I got in there.
Yeah. Cool. What do you like to, what's your main thing that you like to keep yourself, you know, your arms, legs, back,
a lot of shoulders, chest, and arms.
Right.
When I first started lifting, my arms grew and nothing else wanted to catch up until the last couple of years, and then, but a lot of that was just consistency and certain motions that I didn't know anything about.
Right. I've gone to the gym like once or a couple of times, and you know what? It was like, all right, this is hard. This is really, you got to push yourself, man. And it's like, you know, but you know, I'm a garbage man, so I'm outdoors all day on my feet, lifted couches, this and that, you know. And plus, I hike, so I hike too, so that's a plus, you know.
Right. Yeah, I work in a warehouse when I'm not wrestling, like 2 or 3 days a week. So that's part of the regiment too.
Yeah. It kind of helps us though, you know. It's really we're on our feet and just moving, lifting something up or whatever, you know. But anyway, man, let's talk wrestling, man. Let's have some fun.
Absolutely.
You got a big show coming up pretty soon? You got anything coming up that we want to...
I've got a decent schedule as far as my Saturdays are going.
Yeah.
I was traveling really good there for a minute, but then COVID started picking back up. I was doing a good show in Indiana, and then they're only allowed 50 people capacity now, so they can't afford to bring anybody in from out of state. And then, but I've got SDCW coming up next week, and then a new show in Oneida called Warrior Pro the week after. And my Saturdays are staying pretty consistent. Fridays are hard to find right now, and the ones that are further away, they're not really bringing in anybody from outside because they don't want to risk somebody having COVID and coming in and spreading it around. So,
right,
I'm hoping all this gets out of the way soon, but you know, who knows? Let's hope we don't get completely grounded again.
I know, but you know what? It's hey, at least you're getting shows, you're wrestling. You know what I mean? It's what you want. You know, it's hard. It's even hard for like the guys. You know, everywhere, all the guys. You know, everywhere we go. You know, I mean, we have shows in Jersey that are, you know, they're letting less people in the building. You know, for the this weekend, what they had Matt Tremont had a show at the H2O Academy, and they had to. I think that was like their last event for quite a while. But, you know, another friend of ours, I guess Stan Styles, you know, has a big bonanza show this week. And also with shout out to Happy Hour, you know, that crazy wrestler, beer drinker, enthusiast. He found out tonight that he has a mystery partner he brought in, is bringing Dana Gray in. So that's surprising.
That is a big surprise, yeah.
Yeah, which is the bonanzas are bonanzas, you know. Intergender bonanzas are fun, you know. Like they
Right.
You know, have you ever had your experience with that?
With intergenders? I've only wrestled a couple of women, actually. And it was way early on when I was getting started. Now, I work a lot of shows that they do those matches in, but I rarely, for some reason, wound up in. I think it's an aspect that's missing now because they're so afraid to do it on TV.
Absolutely.
It's like with all the wrestlers getting tied up in domestic cases and stuff like that, they're scared to death of, oh, Draven Lee body slammed this girl on cable, and now all these women are freaking out, you know. But it's a thing that everybody should know that it's a work and calm down about it. But you know, they don't.
No. So let me ask you this: what was the last title you held? Ooh.
Last title I held. Let's see. I had the heavyweight championship at USA in Nashville, Burt Pennis's show. I held that for a few months and did TV every week. And then when I lost it, I went on, did some other shows. I think, I believe that was the last title that I held, at least for an extended amount of time. I think I've done a couple of those. What's the word I'm looking for here? Like the scramble scenarios where I had a belt, you know, during the match, and then I got pinned again, and I was champion for 30 seconds. I've done a couple of those.
Yeah, like 20. Like the 20, like the 24/7 kind of rule. Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Which that kind of stuff is really entertaining. I think R-Truth has saved his career with that right now. I really do.
I think yes, I think so. He hasn't stopped with that. I don't even think he's stopped, or whoever has it now. I don't even know.
Yeah, it's some of the most entertaining stuff that I've seen in a while.
And he's creative with that, though. You know, everywhere you go, anywhere.
Right.
But you know, there's actually an open challenge right now for a title, and you know what? I might have to get your name out there. It's versus one Monster Mac of the Hit Squad. Ooh.
Okay. I haven't seen anything about it, but I know who you're talking about.
Yes, for my local company, shout out to them. You know, it's called Titan Championship Wrestling, and they're based at it. Good promotion, definitely like friendly, just real independent wrestlers coming in and out, and you know, it's pretty. We've had just had our last show of Mount Olympus, which was a hell of a show. Like he just won a title up from that, and he opened up a challenge to anybody in the world, like any kind of promotion, you name it.
Well, I mean, I've got footage and promos and all that available, so we can give that a shot.
Yeah, yep. And you know what? Hey, I'm sure you'd like to come to the East Coast and wrestle. I'm sure. Have
Absolutely,
you ever come? Have you ever wrestled on the East Coast or no?
I've wrestled a little bit of everywhere, really, but I've done a lot in Tennessee, obviously, and in the South. Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, North and South Carolina, Kentucky. When I had a license, I don't want to renew the license right now because they're not allowed to do much. There's just no reason to pay that money, and the license just sat there for no reason. But as far as I've been up north a little bit, I've wrestled in Michigan a couple of times. Out west, I've got some stuff coming up. Rudy Gonzalez is supposed to put a show together in March that I'm going to do in Texas. If he winds up still being able to, it all depends on COVID. Right now, he's confident that it's going to happen, but they could make him pull the plug any minute now. I'm trying to. I mean, I want to go. I want to go everywhere, including out of the country. I've got some stuff I'm trying to work out in Australia and Canada.
Good for you.
I mean, right now it's just impossible to travel. You know.
Yeah, I know. Just keep your. You never know, right? Just you never know when the time is right.
I'm keeping in touch so they don't forget about me. You know, and then when hopefully all this settles down. I can start getting on planes and doing some things. But.
Yeah. I'm not traveling at all. I'm just, we're all just stationed. You know what I mean? Like, just do.
Right.
It's, you know what I mean? Like, what?
Since that last lockdown that we had, I think I went out of Tennessee 3 times, twice to Indiana and once to Georgia, and then they slowed down again. Now I've been in Tennessee all over again. So
yeah, I know a lot of my friends. I give them power for going for Game Changer Wrestling, GCW, for traveling to Indiana and Chicago and just doing a whole bunch of shows. They just shut the Nevada show down. I saw that the Las Vegas show is canceled. They're going to be doing that at a special location in Jersey somewhere.
Well, at least they're going to do something.
Yeah, and of course, I'm sure you saw the post there. Who's on there? Blake Christian versus Leo Rush.
Yeah, I actually just shared that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I've never met Leo. I've worked with Christian. I actually had
I
had one match with him when I worked at USA.
Oh, cool.
And I needed some extra pre-workout that day for sure. That dude can go.
Yes, he can, man. He's like a rocket ship, man. He's on another planet himself. He could just go.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
and,
man,
Alex Zane is the same way. I think he's actually about to get signed. So
yeah, he had his last run, and man, good for him.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If he could have gone to Japan. Well, all these guys, like Blake Christian, everybody wants to go to Japan. That's the ultimate goal, Yeah.
Well, I know that Zane went over there for a while. I think he was over there for a few months, and then he came back over here. And I think like all the lockdowns and stuff started happening when he got back, and then so he was pretty much grounded for a while, and then it's picked back up, and now he got the GCW shows started happening. They were having them all outdoors, and then I guess that's around when he got. I'm sure he was noticed before that, but they were waiting for it to pick back up.
Mm-hmm. So do you like the product of what GCW has to offer? Do you like it?
Everything that I've seen, I've been pretty into. I saw where Ricky Morton went and had a match with Joey Janela. As I've been wrestling at School of Morton some, but now they're shut down until January because of COVID also. But I've done their TV or whatever, their social media program. It gets all kinds of views. So I've actually had a few shows contact me just from doing those few episodes that I did. So I'm hoping that gets back soon. I get back on there.
That's good. Yeah, but you see the style difference and then the deathmatch style they have. It's different,
Yeah, absolutely. I've played with death matches a little bit. It goes really well with my gimmick. So like people kind of expect it when they see the freak, So I play with it here and there. It's not something that I want to do all the time, but I have a lot of respect for the deathmatch community. And
we have a lot.
I had a death match with Raven Havoc a couple of months ago, and they were all really happy with it, and they welcomed me, after that. They knew that I was serious about my respect for them and everything. So it's definitely something that I'm going to dip into here and there, but I'm not going to swim in it all the time. Yeah.
You never know. You can step into that ICW no holds barred shit. Yeah.
I'll give that a shot. We'll see what happens. I'll try anything once.
I don't know if you've been seeing that too. That's been Akira's been killing it over there, and Murdoch.
He's wild. And I've only seen him in person once. He's
John Wayne Murdoch. Shout out to him.
Yeah, I love Murdoch as well.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, you have guys like Brett Eisen and Justin something, Kyle or something. Like these guys are like beasts in the ring, man. These are like
Alex Ocean.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing a lot of death matches, but he's a really good worker outside of that too. But he's getting noticed a lot for death matches right now. So that's either way. At least he's getting eyes on him and people know about him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could have a match with him and you never know it.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. But you know, what wrestlers have you noticed that are pretty like stand out to you? Like really, like we said, Blake Christian, Joey Janela. Who else do you think? I'll say KTB.
Yeah.
The Beast. The Beast is actually second appearance on, or third appearance coming up probably on AEW Dark. Yeah. Man.
Think about the international superstars, Blanco Loco and Ellie.
Mm-hmm.
They work a show here in Crossville that I just came back to that a friend of mine runs,
Mm-hmm.
and they're driving all the way from Florida every week to wrestle in Tennessee because Tennessee's got shows going on right now and a lot of places don't.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure they're getting paid decently, but you know they're still driving like 10 hours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even you know all these wrestlers, man. It's like it's a shot. And it's like if you want to, you never know. You might get that. You know, like it could be a dream. You know, right? As they always
some
say,
of these some of these workers, it's their only job is wrestling, and with it being slow like it is, they can't really go get a regular job somewhere because the places aren't even using their regular employees all the time because everything's slowed down. So the only way that they're going to make money is to get on whatever show they can possibly get on, even if it's empty arena or YouTube or whatever. Anything they can do to keep themselves relevant and try to get money coming in and try to keep selling merch online. It's a big struggle right now.
I know it is. So fans, you better plug this at the end and get his merch. You know, buy some merch.
Right.
We'll get his merch. Support Draven. You know, come on. But we'll plug that later. Plug later. Always plug that at the end, right?
Absolutely, for sure.
But you know, speaking of like you know, now we're talking like AEW. Now let's talk like, you know, WWE. Here we go. I haven't talked like, you know, it's transgender, you know, it's tradition, you know, well, you know, the differences now, you know, you see the two companies really, you know, going head to head, you know.
It's kind of the Monday Night Wars all over again, but sometimes it's on different nights now. But
no, but I'm you know, I like the product. I've always have, and I have actually so many guys, wrestler friends, who just got contracted, and like Joe Gacy from GCW or CZW, Anthony Greeny, the local guy, you know, a couple other people too. You just don't know, you know, they could get there, but it's NXT is where it's at, I think, for them. Everybody, you know, you step in that NXT ring, and you know, and then you make your name and you prove yourself, and then you go 205. You go on that 205, and then you go on TV.
I think they still do like maybe Superstars and something like that as well. I think they do in the same night as Raw or SmackDown. Like after those, they tape one of those, and then I think they're doing everything in the same building right now. So
they are, yeah, because they're doing those Titan or the video screen. Everybody's little Facebook cameras or whatever, little webcam.
Yeah,
log
little
all
monitors or whatever.
They're kind of weird, but I've had a couple friends who've tried to get into that.
Yeah, I mean, right now they're just doing the best they can to have at least something close to a live crowd.
Mm-hmm. Did you?
I know AEW was having the other workers sit in the crowd and stuff like that for a while.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Did you watch Taker's last ride interview?
Yeah,
that very good. That was very, you know.
Yeah, I watched the episodes of the last ride, and then I watched the two podcasts with Steve Austin. And it's still weird to me. Like I know, like being a worker, I know how much of a work this is, but it's still really strange just seeing him do regular things. To me, even when he was doing the Backer gimmick, like it's just weird seeing him do anything that's not the Undertaker. You know, like he's just sitting there talking to Steve Austin, just being a dude drinking a beer. I'm like, man, this is weird. You're supposed to be choke slamming people, you know? Like,
yeah, I don't think I've watched that yet. I gotta check that out. It was really good. I heard the Steve Austin one. I gotta check that one out. But yeah, you know, him and his manager, of course, Paul Bearer. You know, come on. I mean, they had to do that old documentary on him. You know,
yeah,
and how he actually made him too,
I popped really hard for the little silhouette, the CGI or whatever they put in there of Paul Heyman when Taker was doing the segment there at Survivor Series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I wish he could have had a live crowd for that, but it is what it is. I guess he was ready to go and he was ready to do it, and I guess he felt like if he waited much longer to do the farewell, he was going to have another match. So,
yeah, now he's doing $1,000 cameos, right? Whew.
Yeah, for real.
Jeez, that's a little, yeah, nah.
He was on the Jimmy Fallon show or something and came out and I think he tombstoned a scarecrow or something. There's no telling what he got paid for that.
Yeah, he was just on IG Live with was it Snoop Dogg? He was doing a Snoop Dogg interview. Both of them are on IG Live. It was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
It is. So I think there's something they're working on together with a clothing line or something. Get some cash still. Yeah, So Snoop can get his weed money, right?
I mean, I'm sure he's got plenty of that. He's a millionaire.
Yeah, I know. Whatever.
I wish I had that kind of money to throw around for no reason.
Right. Right. Yeah. So growing up wrestling, who were your favorites? What was your first experience going to a show as a kid or watching it on TV? Get your first.
Well, I saw it. My dad always watched wrestling, and my mom was into it, but not like my dad. I think she kind of was just watching it because dad was into it. But I saw it here and there. But the first time it really caught my eye was when I saw the Macho. And it was during that era when he was wearing all the crazy tassels and the multiple colors and the crazy shades and the hats and doing the Slim Jim commercials and all that. And he just caught my eye, and I'm like, man, that's I'm going to do that one day. Whatever that is, I'm going to do it. And, and then after that, of course, the Hardys caught my attention. Sting, Vampiro. You can see all of those when you watch my matches. Yes,
I could tell you. I was going to say that.
And then Vampiro. I noticed Steve Austin. I liked the rebelliousness of Steve Austin. He came out and he kicked his boss's ass. Everybody wanted to do that at one point in time. But I'd say my top four were probably Sting, Vampiro, Macho Man, and the Hardys were the ones that I made sure to watch anytime they were on, no matter what else I had going on.
Yeah, and of course, fast forward, then you got Undertaker. Of course, we all had to watch the Undertaker.
Right? Yeah, the Undertaker was. I think he's probably influenced everybody in some way. Not necessarily they look like him or whatever, but in some way they wanted to do something the Undertaker did.
Right. And I remember one time I worked at a warehouse and this kid was his cousin or something. I didn't really think it was though. Could have been. Who knows? You never know, right? There's so many wrestlers that are in New Jersey.
You never know if somebody's pulling your chain about that or not.
Yeah. Did you grow fast forward we're like WCW era, of course. We had Vampiro, we had Psychosis, you had Eddie, of course, you had Ray, you had the Steiner brothers, you had all these other guys that really, the Dragon, Ricky Steamboat, really before he, Jerry Lynn.
I was still a kid, So, but I did start. But I was always a smaller guy when I was in high school. I think I graduated at 145, and that was after lifting weights for a little bit, So I was always a skinny kid, and I started seeing these cruiserweights, and I'm thinking, well, maybe this really is something I could do. Because in my head, I was like, well, I would love to be a wrestler, and by that point, I had been in the ring a little bit, never properly trained at that point, but I played around a little bit, and I thought, man, I'm gonna have to try to get big. I can't put weight on and all that. And then I saw these guys, and I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe this is really something that I could try to do. So then I started looking around for places that could, offer training and stuff like that. Of course, I didn't have any money, so I found some guys that ran a show locally, and I set the ring up and cleaned the shitter and all that noise to pay for training.
Yep.
But,
Do the old basics. Yep.
Oh,
Basics for, to get green, get in the ring, just
but
be
I
shy.
definitely noticed the cruiserweights for a while there, and of course, I knew Sting already. I was already a fan of Sting, but I started noticing like the Young Dragons when they had Jamie Noble, and I thought that was really entertaining because he was obviously a white dude, but they were pretending he was Japanese. And then a 3 count was. I always thought 3 count was really cool, because it was just so. It was a rip off of the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC because that was popular at the time. But it worked, and everybody believed these guys are really douchebags.
Yeah.
And they were all smaller guys, but they had gimmicks, and people got into it. They were able to sell just as much as the big guys were. And I think at that point, Vince McMahon and all the others started noticing, okay, well, these guys are here now. We gotta do this with them.
Right. How about ECW? Ooh.
I was always into ECW. I got into it later after its heyday. I mean, I knew about it, but I didn't always have access to it. And then after, I'd say around 2005 or so, after they had that first one night stand gimmick, I went back and started seeing a lot of the old stuff. Now I knew, like, there were some. I always thought there were some stars there that just never got capitalized on after ECW. Like Supernova was definitely really good, and they put that horrible Simon Dean gimmick on him in WWE. And the Blue Meanie and Stevie Richards, I always loved the BWO, the parody of the NWO.
Yeah.
I loved how ECW would go right over the line, but not far enough over to actually get sued.
Right.
But I think that it was a jackpot of talent that just never got capitalized on. A lot of them, when they got to WCW and WWE, they kind of got used as fillers, and they never. Now some of them did better, like RVD did good, and Sabu did okay for a while, and Jerry Lynn. But then there was just so much talent that just never got capitalized on after that.
Yeah, and then you get guys like Jerry Lynn, Just Incredible. He's looking like crap these days, but whatever. I saw him at a show, and he did not look good. Get beer gut.
Oh yeah,
like how the demons are for him though. That he's still struggling through that. It's always the demons.
That's a big thing with professional.
Yeah, it is. It really is. I mean, you look back and you think of all these guys who have dealt with them and wrestlers, and I look back and I think of Trent Acid, like a local wrestler, independent wrestler, just who had it all and then lost it,
Right. Who was it that went to jail for a while? It was Nick Gage. And then he's turned around and again, but there for a while everybody wondered, is he even going to be back?
Yeah, and he made it back, and he's back, and he's just ready to get back in the ring. He's still has an ankle injury. He's still working on it. That's not I actually saw it happen. At the show. So that wasn't an ankle that he's taking a break. I was like, he better be back, because you know what? He's got all these fans all across the world, and they love him, because he's the man. Shout out to Nick Gage, MDK all fucking day. Murder, death, kill. But no, but you look back in wrestlers that really just, but now it's, the mindset's on wrestling these days. Fast forward now, you got more people that are tuning in. Like ECW was a big drug rave, basically. You think about it.
Yeah.
ECW back in their day, there was a lot of drugs, and you know what? I was an experience where I'll tell you the story about how I met Balls Mahoney. Of course, I worked at a dollar store at the age of 18 or 18, and this guy comes walking in. I'm stocking shelves. I don't know anything about ECW, really. Like, and then this guy's like, "Hey, this guy's a wrestler." I'm like, "Really? No shit." And I got an autograph of Balls Mahoney. But then fast forward a little bit, we go to a wrestling show, and he's like, "Hey, Dave, do you have any pain pills?" I was like, "No." Unreal, like asking fans in public, at a show. I'm like,
oh,
no,
yeah,
sorry. Mm-hmm.
Well, they figured, well, you were here, you might have something. So,
mm-hmm. Yeah, that was like Chris Candido too, of course, as well. Became really close with him and his family and friends, and just crazy,
I can't remember who it was.
Mm-hmm.
There was a worker that I know. I can't remember who it was, but he's a straight edge guy, and he has a list. Mm-hmm. He has a list of names, big names that he's turned drugs down for, and he just thought it was funny to make a list of it. Mm-hmm. He's got a list of like 30 big names that he's turned down drugs for. Mm-hmm. And I just thought that was funny.
Yeah. Now you try to do that. Forget it. You got to take a test.
Yeah, for sure.
No cheating the tests, or but you got to be, because you guys get tested. You never know it.
Oh yeah. You get
Or
tested to get a license. Like you get tested to get a license through the athletic commission.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they test for drugs and STDs and all that noise too. But like they only do it the one time when you get the license. Mm-hmm. I hear that, like in Alabama, I hear that the athletic commission can bust into the show and test everybody, but I don't think it's ever happened. There'd be some shows if it did, they'd be really screwed. But
yeah, I know what you mean. I've seen stuff like that. It's insane. But yeah, talking about like wrestlers in like ECW era, you had like talking about Rob Van Dam. How about like the Pitbull, Gary Wolf, the Pitbulls. Gary's still going, man. He's still going.
Yeah. I've seen where he's filmed like some videos and stuff. I didn't know if he still got in the ring or not.
Yeah, he has. He's still in the ring. He's still doing his thing. I saw him at the Mount Olympus cage match versus actually the guy I was talking about, Monster Mac. Was pretty cool. I have a little highlight reels on my video YouTube's somewhere.
Cool.
Yeah. But to see like him, and I was a little kid too. I remember seeing him at local shows. Like I was like, holy shit. You never know who you'll meet, Well,
my mom talks about being in her early 20s and seeing like Flair and Dusty and a lot of those guys when they were working in like auditoriums and stuff like that. And then a few years down the road, she saw them on worldwide TV. I've worked a bunch of shows with Ricky Morton, and my mom's always like, yeah, I remember when he used to go to the Civic Center in Georgia and there was 100 people there,
What was your first event you went to as a wrestling fan? As a fan, as a kid,
as a fan, I think I went to. We went to a couple of Raws and SmackDowns, stuff like that, in like the early 2000s. The first big one I went to was in 2002. I went to Judgment Day because it was in Knoxville at the Gaylord Entertainment Center, and it was when. I remember at that point I had started goofing around a little bit with some buddies and stuff, doing what we thought was wrestling, anyways. And I remember popping so hard for Hulk Hogan hitting Taker with a superplex. That just blew my mind. I was like, "Oh, you're not gonna do that," and they did it. And I was like, "Oh, shit." But I remember I saw Flair in Austin that night. And that was when Austin was doing the whole Watt thing. And every time he would hit Flair, the crowd would Watt, and then Flair would chop him and they'd woo. And it was just Watt, woo, back and forth the whole match. It was just really fun. Plus, I saw the Hardys live that night. And there were some others. That was when I really got my eyes on it because I was the couple of times that we went before, we were pretty further away, but this time we were right above the floor, so we could see over all the signs and all that, and we could see everything really well. And we could even hear Jerry Lawler and JR talking from where we were at. It was really low, but we could hear him. So it was like I was on TV, but I was really seeing it in person at the same time. So that was cool. I was already hooked on it anyway, even if I hadn't went to that event. But and then after that, I didn't really get into. I didn't know too much about indie wrestling until I found those guys that were running the show out here, and then I discovered, wait, this is a thing. There's people like me that do this. Man, okay. So, and then I got in with them and I trained a little bit, and they put me under a hood and had guys beat me up for like 6 months. I can't even count the bumps I took. If I believed in a bump card, it would have been used up when I was 16. But
probably, yeah.
But then that was in Fentress County, where my mom's from. And then I started finding out about shows in Crossville and Cookville, and then, 20, 30, 40 miles away from me. And I started just going to those and showing up and introducing myself. And they'd let me get in the ring beforehand with one of their guys, and they'd wind up putting me in something. And that's just kind of how I started getting around. And then I did a bunch of seminars and stuff like that, and learned a lot more. But I had to learn a lot through trial and error too.
Yes. Yeah. It's because it's a lesson. It's a lesson. Wrestling is it's a study that we have to study. You have to study something. It's a study. It's like school. We have to learn something. Yeah.
Well, you're always learning. They say that if you stop learning, you just go home. So.
Yeah. You fail. Get the 0 for the day. But what I said. As I was saying, first, like events I could remember as a kid growing up, I always tell people about me and my old man went to WrestleMania 5 in Atlantic City.
Right.
And sitting up in the nosebleeds, sitting in the nosebleeds 5 rows away from Jesse the Body and Gorilla on commentary and hearing the thump of the ring down below. That's... Mega Power sign in hand too, of course. But yeah, that was my first.
That'd be a cool thing to see in person.
But I did get to see the Bruiser Brody inside a steel cage at a young age too.
Cool.
That was pretty cool. Actually, also, Dr. D. I saw Dr. D. David Schultz in the ring too.
Sweet.
Yeah, there's an old timer, right? He's like, that's a
name you don't hear anymore.
No, or the Fantastics. It was like the Fantastics, the Samoans. It was crazy. Like back in the day, wrestling was, I guess New Jersey was like a hotbed for wrestling back in high school.
Everything was different then. I remember when I was at USA, they run those shows at the Omen Arena in Jackson, Tennessee. And Bill Dundee was there. He's there a lot. We were standing outside, and some fans were starting to show up around the back before they opened the doors. And it's my first time I had been to that arena. And I was talking to Bill Dundee, and I said, "Man, it'd be really cool to fill this place up. I have like 1,000, 4,000 people or whatever in here, however many it holds." And Bill Dundee just turned and looked at me and said, "Oh no, that won't happen anymore." And I said, "Why not?" And he said, "Because we smartened them up too much." And at first, I'm like, "Well, what are you getting at?" And then after a few minutes, I was like, "Oh, okay." Back then, they didn't smarten anybody up. The Hills and the Babies rode separately. You didn't see anybody together, and it was a lot different. I think that's hurt. I mean, it's hurt the business in a certain aspect. But I didn't know what he was talking about until I really thought about it for a minute.
Right.
Because back then they made people believe it. If you had two guys in a feud, the whole crowd believed these guys wanted to kill each other, and they didn't let anybody think any different. You didn't see them at the Waffle House. You didn't see them thanking each other on Facebook for the match. Stuff like that.
Yeah,
and I've been guilty of both of those myself. And I
Waffle
learned
House.
from that.
Waffle House is the local hangout, people. By the way, if you go to a wrestling show, that's
It
where all the
really
wrestlers
is.
are.
Yeah, you're going to see every one of them there.
Yeah, or the local buffet.
It's usually 9 times out of 10 it's a Waffle House or a truck stop, whichever one hits first.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. I mean, I've done that drive 12 hours down to Mid-South IWA. You know, I've done the ride down to Chicago. You know, it's pretty. Yeah, it's entertaining when you run into people you don't know or wrestlers. You know, it's like, hey.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember I had to go to I remember Game Changer did a show. We had a double night. It was Freelance Underground. We did a show versus Freelance Underground the very first night, and the second night we were in Chicago at this lucha place, and like a flea market warehouse, like a storefront, you know, like a flea market, and I had to help that night. I had to be like to run around the ring with all the tables, the doors, glass, sweep up the ring. You know, I was like, hey, I guess I'm here for the long haul. You know,
Right.
Just to, I didn't get paid because I was a wrestling fan. Yeah, I just volunteer I volunteer my help all the time. You know, to put up a chair, or, you know, make sure weapons perfect. You know,
right. You had a job to do.
Yeah. Had to make sure that Nate Webb was okay. Had to make sure everybody was good. You know, all the wrestlers are crazy. All the crazy ones. You know, even Joey Janela.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but nowadays you look at, you know, what I want to ask you this question: worst experience as a fan heckling you?
Trying to think of one. I know I've got a few.
Or an old person. Like an old.
Well, I'm a baby face really often, but
Yes.
believe it or not, with even with that look, a lot of people expect me to really be a heel a lot. And I've worked on shows where they couldn't turn me heel no matter what. I could have punched a handicapped kid and still got over it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And but there's been a couple of times I was at a show one night where they had me working heel, and I figure, well, I'm with this group of guys that are heels, and I'm thinking, well, instead of doing the face paint and all that, I'll just do the eyeshadow and the black lips and stuff. It's like, it's easy to hate a guy in makeup, you know. So
right,
because I got that through high school, so I'm like, all right, I'll just be that kid and see what happens. So I go out there and I'm running my mouth and everything, and this guy was talking crap to me, and his son was talking crap to me, and his mom was sitting behind him, and she had her mouth shut. So I'm like, all right, this is going to be the guy right here.
Yeah.
So I go over to the kid, and I'm like, oh, shut your mouth, you're stupid, blah, blah, blah. You know, the usual hill stuff. They told me to try to keep it PG-13. You know, don't say fuck or anything like that.
Oh yeah.
So the kid says something about he could kick my ass, and I said, listen, you know, I'll bang your mom and I'll be your stepdad next week.
Yes. Yeah.
And then this dude, his dad comes right over the railing. I mean, he didn't even touch the rail.
Right.
And then there was a security guy. I'm like, if you don't get him before he gets to me, I'm going to knock him out. But they got him. And then it was one of those weekends where this show was running 2 nights in a row. We were working the Friday night show. We were staying in a hotel and then working Saturday. Well, we come back Saturday night and they're still there. And I see them come in, and I have like 30 minutes before I'm going out there. So I'm like, okay, I got to get some props for this, right? So I go down the road to Walmart and get flowers and come back. So I come out and I hand his mom flowers when I do my entrance.
Right.
Here he comes again. This time he didn't make it over the rail, but that was one experience for sure. And then we were at the Coolsville Armory one night. I wasn't even in this match.
Yeah.
This was one of the behind the scenes where one of the workers did some stuff he shouldn't have done with this other dude's wife or girlfriend or whatever. And the guy came to the show drunk, and we all knew the guy. He said everything was cool. But apparently it wasn't, because when this worker got into the ring, he had to hit the ring and got him away from him, and then he went outside. So I went out there. I didn't go out there to do what I did, but I was like, "What are you doing, man? What's your problem?" And he's like, "Oh man, I know I fucked up. I was drinking, blah blah blah." I said, "Yeah." I was like, "Look, you need to get out of here before this gets way out of hand. All right, just get in your car and go. Forget about this whole thing." And then I start to turn around to walk away, because I didn't have a dog in this race. I was just telling him he needed to get out of there. And he says, "Oh, there's no fake wrestler going to do anything to me." And I just turned around and knocked the shit out of him. And I knocked him on his ass. And then he tried to jump up and come after me, but then everybody got in front of us. And I yelled some crazy shit. I don't even know what I said, but it was out there for sure. Wow. And then the guy that was in charge of the armory, like the soldier they left there that night to run things, gets on the mic during a match and pretty much cuts a live promo on me punching this guy. But it wound up all getting settled, because he understood why I did it and said he probably would have done the same thing. But there were two names in the ring at the time, and so they witnessed it too. And I had a little bit of heat with one of them for a minute, but I think we're good now.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it happens, man. It's crazy. These fans nowadays, it's like murder.
There's that popular video. There's that one video that goes around all the time. I see it 2 or 3 times a month of Triple H just fucking that dude up when he slid in the ring, and the referee even gets some licks in. It was Triple H and Austin. And then there's another one of Eddie Guerrero. A guy slid in and Eddie Guerrero punched him in the face, and then the security got him. And he's like, because there's an interview with Eddie Guerrero, and he's like, yeah, I threw a punch. Maybe I shouldn't have, but he slid in the ring. At that point, I think when you hit that ring, we got to do something. We don't know if they've got a knife or a gun or what they're hopped up on or anything.
Exactly.
It's like, I'm not here to hurt the guy. I'm here to defend myself. If I hurt him defending myself, it's his fault.
Yeah, you'll be in jail. There'll be a case brought up on you, and I've seen that happen. You've seen that. There's a lot of that. Actually, was it the wrestler? Who was it? Oh no, Teddy Hart. There was that guy Teddy Hart, and he's still in jail for the guy.
Oh yeah.
Accusing he pulled a gun on him or something.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
He's still in jail to this day. So hey, he screwed his career up. It's just shame.
Yep.
I'm sure Brett's really pissed at him big time.
You got to be careful what you do. It's one thing if they slide in the ring on me and I have to do something about it. Like, I'm going to defend myself. But it's another thing if you're continuing to instigate it because you want to look like a badass.
Well, was it Nick Gage or who has it? DJ Hyde. They said that somebody brought a gun to the show one time. Remember that? Yeah. Like way back early days of CZW, he brought that up on a podcast on his show that this dude had a knife or a gun. Back then wrestling fans were wild. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
they really are.
We hear stories like Freddie Blassie got stabbed one time. That was probably in like the 70s or something. He was in a match where him and the guy went out in the crowd and somebody stabbed him in the leg with a pocket knife. And then there was another one with somebody else where they got stabbed in the arm. And then those other ones from indie shows. Chase Stevens talks about getting shot at one time in an arena. And like he didn't panic because the guy wasn't hitting him. And they wanted him to take off and get out of the ring, and he's all like, well, he's not hitting me. He can't shoot for shit.
Yeah. Right. Wow. Worst injury in your career have you ever had, or scariest moment? So many, probably.
I've had a few. I've had a lot of small injuries that I worked around, and just I can't bump this way, or hey, let's not hit this arm, or whatever. But I've had a couple of doozies. I was working the Youngbloods one night. If you've ever seen them, Octavius Black and Spoony Mac, they're really good. They gave me a double spine buster, and I landed a little sideways. And I didn't think I hurt myself at the time, but I wound up tearing my lower back. And
oh man,
and I worked the entire time. I took like 2 weeks off. I had to really watch my lifting and everything like that. I had to take a bunch of anti-inflammatories and different stuff. And then that wasn't so bad. I guess the scariest thing I had is something I don't remember at all because of how I hit my head doing it. I've seen the video of the match, and I can try to find it somewhere. I don't know if it's on YouTube, but I'm sure somebody has it on tape. I was in a cage match in Cookeville, and on the video, I'm on top of the cage, and I think I was trying to do the Elix skipper gimmick and walk the top and then hop down.
Oh, yeah.
The cage, it was a local Tennessee indie show, so the cage was garbage, and it separated up top, just came apart. And I guess when it did that, I fell to the floor.
Oh, fuck.
And when you watch the video, I pretty much powerbomb myself on the floor, and I stand right up. But like the lights were on, but there was nobody home. And I take one step, and then just flare bump right on the floor. And of course, there was a referee in the ring and a referee outside the ring because it was one of those gimmicks where you have to hit the floor with both feet. So that referee ran over, and the two security guys were by the entrance. They ran over. And my girlfriend at the time was there. She ran over, different shit. And the first thing that I remember was being in the back and being pissed because they didn't tell me my match was on. I was like, why'd you let me fall asleep? And there was an ambulance guy there, and I was pushing him, calling him names. Get the fuck away from me. I didn't know what happened. You know, I didn't get busted open or anything like that. But which is weird. I don't know how it didn't bust my head wide open, but it didn't. And, of course, once I realized what had happened and what was going on, I let the guy come over and check me out, you know. But the first few minutes there, I was in a blind rage. What are you doing to me? What's going on? You know. That one's scary because I've watched the video and still don't remember it. Like, I know that's me on the video. I know the guys that were in the ring with me. But somehow I just cannot recollect that match. I remember some things before it. I remember getting to the armory. I remember talking to some people. I remember screwing around on my cell phone and stuff like that. But I don't remember putting my gear on, none of the stuff that I do before a match. I just remember waking up. I just remember being there after it and thinking I hadn't went out. Like, I didn't have a headache or anything when I woke up. I was just pissed because there were people touching me, you know. But after about 20 minutes there, I got my head on straight. I was like, "Oh man, I might die. All right, let's do this." But other than that, it's
any concussion. No, any ever had concussions?
Besides that one, I know I got hit with a keyboard one night in a hardcore match, and what happened was we were in a dog collar match, and it's a tag team match. I was chained to one guy, and my partner was chained to the other. Well, the guy that I was chained to had slid under the ring, so I'm doing the gimmick where I'm pulling the chain to pull him out from under the ring. When he comes out beside me, and I saw him swing the keyboard. And then instead of getting it right here, I hadn't turned in, and I got it more in the crown of my head. So I take it, and it hurt, but it didn't mess me up too bad. Well, I take an ass bump on the floor, and I'm sitting there, and he goes over to my partner, and they're kind of double teaming my partner. We were the baby faces. And I'm sitting there kind of doing the old Nintendo 64 groggy self with my head, And I hear a fan go, "Draven, you're bleeding." And I'm like, "Okay, I probably got a little blood running down my shoulder or something. No big deal. We'll be all right." Well, I put my fist down on the floor to get up, and I plant my hand in like a pot of my own blood. And I'm like, oh, cool. All right, whatever. So then I go over to the guy that hit me, and I kick him, and I say, "Hey, work a hold or something and look at my head, because I think I'm fucked up." And he's like, all right, yeah. So he punches me a couple times, gets me down on my back, and gets over me like he's biting my head. And he looks at my crown, and he goes, "Yeah, I think you need stitches." And I'm like, "Is it still bleeding?" He's like, "A little bit, but it's not bleeding a lot." And I'm like, "Okay, well, we can get through this. Just don't hit me again." So we get through it. And I get to the back, and that's when everything got weird. But it wasn't like I didn't get knocked out. It didn't really get blurry. I knew everything. I knew who I was and all that. But it was definitely a concussion for sure. Because everything got blurry, and like I didn't remember my girlfriend coming with me. I was like, "How did you get here? Who did you ride with?" I'm like, all kinds of weird questions.
Yeah, I know how that is. I've had a concussion. It's scary, you know. I've had it on my job actually. I've got knocked out.
Right. I
So,
think that was probably
yeah,
a decent one and the one off the cage, but I didn't.
yeah.
That's the only time that I haven't remembered anything. I remember everything from the keyboard. I just know I got
I'll
hit
never.
really hard.
I'll
Mhm.
tell you what. It's scary when you get a concussion. I was watching because I was there for the night that G Raver actually got his concussion 1 year at a GCW show, and he really fucked himself up. And then it's scary, the part where he falls off he fell outside the ring onto like the guard. He hit a guardrail. He's hit the guardrail. He's hit the floor, and of course you've seen the spill
Yeah.
with him and what is it, Jimmy Lloyd, on the ladder bump that they did.
Yeah, I've seen the clips.
Mm-hmm. But you know what? I think we're done here, man. We've had a long night. I got somebody next at 9:30. I am ready to be calling
cool.
tonight.
I didn't know about the time difference, or I would have been ready
exactly.
early.
Hey, no, we got it in. We got it in. We got what we had to get. We'll do this again, man. Anytime you want to come back, I'd love to have you.
It's indie wrestling, so I got to get my shit in,
Yes, it. Get it in because you'll never know where you'll be, right?
Right.
Podcast, it's a part of my podcast that people don't realize. Like you guys can be noticed, and people could hear. And
Absolutely.
the stories are fun, and it's reality. We are fans of you, and we support you for what you do. And this is my way of getting back to the wrestlers, really.
Giving back, right?
But let's plug in some stuff and call it a night because I got Roman Miller on, another wrestler.
Okay, I know Roman. Yeah, Roman's a good dude.
Do you? Yeah. Through our buddy David of Boot and Heel. Shout out to him, our buddy.
Yeah, that's who got me on here too. So.
Yeah. So we'll find our little social media links, and I should have plugged your Boot and Heel there. I didn't have it on, but fans, check it out. Where can you find Tell us, Draven. Tell us where to go. Tell us where to go. Find yourself find this guy.
Media, yeah. Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. That's the three. I don't really mess with Instagram.
No, nobody really does anymore.
I only got a TikTok to put highlight videos together. To be honest,
that's what I told David. He should get Boot and Heel should have like a TikTok. I mean, man, they could put like highlight.
Well, it's easy. It's easy. You just put the videos on there and put a song to it. You're done in like 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I want to say thank you so much for coming on, and we'll do this again in the future. We'll do
Absolutely,
another show.
man. Thanks for having me.
You have a good night, my friend.
You too.
Yep. All right, fans, you heard it here from my guest tonight. I have to say goodnight to him because we got another guest coming on pretty soon. And you know what? Be on the lookout for Draven Lee fans. He's takes a booking anywhere and everywhere. He wants to make the trip to the Jersey Shore. He wants to be on the West Coast, China, Japan, you name it. You never know. Fans, I want to say go out to a show, support Draven Lee, watch him wrestle, and get yourself some merchandise from him and say hello, give a high five. He's one of those guys that you can just have a good time watching wrestle, and he's going to be more than you want to watch and be supporting of him. Support him more. Fans, thank you for listening to the Deathmatch Wrestle podcast. My guest at this time coming up pretty soon, I will be talking to Roman Miller. And stay tuned for that. And I will plug the next guest after that. No, actually, no. You know what? I'll plug it now because I got so much coming up. I will be plugging my guest tomorrow night, Monday night, December 1st. December 1st. He's the hippie. He's the hippie style. He's the dude love of the hippiness. I'm going to say dude love because, dude love's a hippie kind of guy. Foley, of course. the one and only hippie style. We're going to call him Hippie Life. Hippie Life. I'm going to be talking to wrestler James Johnson. I'm going to be talking to him tomorrow night at 8 p.m. on the Deathmatch Wrestle podcast. And fans, stay tuned Tuesday night to the Deathmatch Wrestle podcast, as my guest will be. Boy, man, I have got so many guests this week. It's unbelievable. I am going to have on my podcast Cornelius Pepperbaum of Exotic Youth, a member of the Exotic Youth. And we'll be talking to him and see what he's been up to in the wrestling world and see what he's got going on. We'll be talking wrestling. Fans, thank you. Tune into that. Good night, everybody. Stay tuned. My next interview real soon on the Deathmatch Wrestle podcast.
You can find more Deathmatch Russell podcasts on the following social media: DeathmatchRussell.com, follow on Twitter at DavidNJ32, and on Facebook, Facebook.com/DJDaveNJ32.
Instagram at DavidNJ36.
Hey, wrestling fans, I want to mention Collar and Elbow.
Collar and Elbow was founded on traditional values of professional wrestling.
Two entities working together to create a product intended to connect with people on an emotional level.
A symbiotic relationship where one cannot flourish without the other. We strive to create a product that embodies our passion for professional wrestling expressed through street fashion. Visit collarandelbowbrand.com and use the promo code Deathmatch Russell Podcast and save 10% off when you make a purchase. Collar and Elbow, where wrestling passion meets street fashion.
Me on Podcast City Network at podcastcity.net, facebook.com/Podcast City Network. Hit the like button and share. And on Twitter at Podcast City Net. You can hear Deathmatch Russell Podcast on Stitcher Radio and on iTunes.